but with counties and states throughout the country. And when we highlight these cases, it's difficult because the circumstances that we have to live through, what the chatters and the decoys have to do, these are tough investigations. But the benefit is I would much rather they knock on the door and see a ghost operator than a real victim. We do these cases because we want to tell a story. A ghost, which has now been branded as Global Human Oppression Strike Team. Because as you'll see today, there are people that came to our operations, and this is just this office, not the ones we work with other sheriffs throughout the state. These folks came from all over the country and from other countries. That's why we changed it from Genesee to Global, because we're seeing this kind of response. We've been in the works and established since 2018, May of 2018. And since then, over 200 predators have been arrested. And the fact that we're able to build these cases out and share these stories, I know there's victims at the end of this show and wherever you're listening that have wanted to tell their story. But what we found, and myself being the sheriff and Sergeant Dallas, is sometimes they just need a little nudge that somebody's going to believe them. Even if it's in the past, we want to hear your story. And in fact, if it didn't happen here, we can direct you to where you need to go. But these arrests, these operations are done for a lot of reasons. But ultimately, it's to take care of victims, to find victims that if they have a story to tell, that we make them survivors. And we have a platform to do that, from education to our ghost certification, to our awareness with all of our task force, to the operations, which Ghost does, but ultimately to the aftercare, where we put people's lives back together. And so if that's you, either comment below, call 911, contact Ghost, send a message, our team will find you. But that's the ultimate underlining reason for doing this, is we want to protect people. Sergeant Dallas has been on the job for a number of years and is part of Ghost from the beginning. We're going to go through these cases. And the first one is out of Bay County. And we've highlighted him before. And this right here is a guy named Milan Mikho. McCarrick is 32 years old. And what was interesting is he contacted the 13-year-old victim because he was a maintenance person around where this victim lived. And on top of that, started befriending the victim through an app called Discord. Now, Sergeant Dallas is going to explain how that app and gaming works together and how McCarrick was able to tap in and start a conversation and build a relationship, also known as grooming. Sergeant Dallas.
So it's my understanding that he essentially met the victim in person, having access in the community that they both lived. However, the communication also carried on in an app called
Discord,
thank you. Discord, which is a communication app that almost every child, teen, and adult, unfortunately, who games uses. Mm-hmm. And so the victim and the victim's friends were also on this app communicating with this person. And it's not just, communication face to face, where sometimes kids, when they're face to face, they don't communicate as well. Neither does the predator, but when they're online, that those conversations are a little bit more graphic. And so they were using that app to do that.
And graphic they were, because on this app, he put himself in a position and was so egregious that he actually showed up at her middle school. And by the time we were notified through Grand Lake Township and the school district, he had already shown up at her house.
Yes.
He had already given 3 phones to the victim, 3 different drop phones with passwords that were protected. And this is one of those phones. And it was a way to communicate between the predator and the victim. And when the mother walked in, imagine this as a parent, you walk in to your child's room and you see the window open, the screen out, and there on the other side is the predator. And when you run to the room, the predator starts running. You call 911. Like, that's the real nightmare of every parent. And when we were able to get with the school, they used their technology to find that led us to where McCarrick was.
They went back because thankfully all schools have cameras. This person drove to the school and picked her up.
And that's where some of the assaults took place. He was not only arrested up in Bay County after about a 3-week investigation, search warrants and records, and working with Bay City PD, we were able to get him in custody. He's in jail right now. He's got a high bond. We talked about this story in the past, but I think the takeaway on McCarrick is they will travel, they will groom, and they will not stop.
And another one is giving, once the parents do the right thing, I'm going to take the phone away. He was giving phones to her. So the parental unawareness of my child doesn't have a phone because I have it. Is your child in the bedroom still not coming out? Look in the bedroom, because chances are, especially in this case, this child had several phones. And the other takeaway is that parents don't know their kids' passcode to their phones. Ask yourself, everybody that's watching, do I know my 13-year-old's password on the phone? Now, we have the software at the sheriff's office, Great Key, where we can extract and get passwords, but it takes a little bit longer. And it slows down everything. If your child has a phone, if you're paying for your child's phone, if your grandma's paying for the phone, you need to know that password.
One step further, nothing to hide, nothing to fear. Grab the phone,
Exactly.
say, open it up, and just do an audit. That's not only for kids, but that's for everybody's benefit. Our next arrest is a difficult one because this was an individual, and Kyle Horiski is from North Carolina. He drove from Fort Bragg to Michigan to go visit a family member at the Thumb. He's 22 years old. He was an active member of the United States Army. And in his vehicle was his tactical vest. He brought knives. We don't get into the chat details very often, but in this case, want to tie her up. Just too violent. In fact, what he wanted to do, most adults that we talk to that are in the 30s, 40s would not say. And so the fact that he came all the way from Fort Bragg at 8 in the morning to our operation on his way to the Thumb, when he was arrested, he was then turned over to the military police where they have taken him from there. And we work with the military to help process that. Again, 22-year-old and coming in for a underage child. This one is Milan Mikho from Macomb County. Goes to Macomb Community College and asked in the chat, are there any rules? Rule number one, it's a 15-year-old. You should know that. And we use other ages and other scenarios as well, but Miho, it was interesting is when he came to the location, very calm as a young student, but wanted to have unprotected sex with our decoy. And when this happens, and you have the chats, and again, it's beyond rated R when our chatters have to chat, but you have to get into that dark place in order to build the communication and to see if they're going to come show up. So that's arrest number 3. Again, using a computer to commit a crime, and submission of a child for immoral purposes. All those same charges apply to these individuals. That was arrest number 3. Number 4. This one's interesting about Dunbar, Kendall Clay Dunbar. He is a 31-year-old unemployed from Flint, but when he got to the location, he didn't come in. Went right to the door. And what was interesting, he said, I couldn't go through with it because I knew it was wrong. Now, of course, we arrested. We had enough probable cause to do that. But Ghost casts a wide net. And not every case is treated the same. And we do say one thing in common is that when we arrest these predators, 9 out of 10 of them have never had any criminal history. In fact, McCarrick didn't have any criminal history. Jordan was in the military. Number 3 was a student. But Dunbar was on parole. So we have an obligation when someone's on parole to advise their parole officer, and he was transported back to the Michigan Department of Corrections within 48 hours. But rest assured, when we take these cases to the prosecutor, that's part of the exculpatory evidence that we give to say he got to the door, turned and walked away, because in a statement, which we don't normally talk about details of statements, that he thought it was wrong. These are all dealt with differently. But nonetheless, his parole was violated, and he was transported back to the Michigan Department of Corrections. Next one is Justin Keeler. Justin Keeler was a forcible arrest. He's from Burton, Michigan, 33 years old. And he used the site and the app. This was our second contact with him. It's not uncommon that when we do our operations anywhere in the state, that we are many times chatting the same people. Now, you may be thinking right now, Sheriff, why do you tell these details? Why do you do that? Well, because we're in the belly of the beast. And these chatters will chat 100 to 200 people a day. Our people. that are out there. And many of them, once the age is disclosed, they're like, I'm out. But there's so many that want to go right up to the edge. They want to turn fantasy by their computer into reality. And it's just a matter of time. It's a dopaminergic effect. They feel like they can control it. Every media outlet here has seen this in the past where we've got this individual and it started way back here. We have people that have been addicts on different levels, and they want to enact that fantasy, and they will drop off their own kids to be watched or younger kids to come to our operations for underage. There's a shift in their mind. And that's what happened here with this individual is Keeler went there, and we shared these details because I would love to go do an operation where nobody chatted us and nobody showed up. But 6 years running, that's never happened. But we asked him to bring a pop, a candy bar, to almost think, is this really what I should be doing? And it shows the premeditation if they're willing to do that or chat for hours and hours. If there's people out there that are struggling right now, and you're right on the edge from fantasy to reality, we would much rather you call Ghost and say, can I get help? Like, I am on the edge. And that's what we offer. And I don't know if that's somebody out there right now, but there's another side, the humanity side of what we're going on, because this is a real issue. But if you come to an operation, you're going to be held accountable. And they're going to be charged and charged heavy, because our job is to give people their voice and to keep people from being victims in the future. Our next arrest is a tough one. And Jordan Henry, 38 years old, from Lapeer County. He's a welding engineer. And he came to have sex with an underage individual. But we talk about these cases, and families pay the price. Mm-hmm. You've seen it over and over. And when you think about what we do here as Ghost, what is the wraparound when it comes to families in being victims?
The first thing is there's a contradiction. There's a contradiction. Here you have somebody that's married, and a spouse and a father, but on the other side, he's committing crimes, engaging in criminal activity. And the impact to the family, it's not just, the stress of it. It's financial, it's emotional stress that not only the arrested is going through, but the family much more sometimes. But the big takeaway is, as law enforcement, just because you're a father and a husband, that doesn't exclude you, and that we're not going to, turn of the page because of those things. You're going to be held accountable.
And held accountable, even in my opinion, harsher, because just like the 533 people that are in the jail today, their families are doing time with them. And I think it's worthy to note that when you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. We keep saying that. And that is in these cases as well. And this individual who not only has a family, but I know that it's difficult. When we post these pictures and we put them out there, it's public information when you're charged as a crime, and we do Ghost operations, we're doing it. We take no joy from putting this out there, but we do this to keep others from doing it and to show people that we will not stop. Our last two are interesting. They were both illegal immigrants that came from Honduras, same country. They didn't know each other. One lived in Burton, one lived in Flint. Our first one that came here to our operation is Marvin Estrada Sarmiento. And he's a 36-year-old. And when he was arrested, what was interesting is Marvin just said, his carpet just broken. And when he was arrested, he was very compliant, and the things that are happening and all the moments that we're doing, all of that is it's part of the process. So Marvin, when he was contacted and was brought in, we had an interpreter, and the interpreter was able to talk and get the statement, and we were able to contact his family. His wife is local, but he was sent here with our second individual, Wilfredo Osorto Maridiage. He's a 46-year-old. And as soon as we got to him and sat down, he just sent me back. This was a statement, just send me back. And these individuals have already been, in this case, removed. There was a time where he was rejected at the border for which is a a moment where he had what was believed to be, and we got this information from Homeland Security, possible communicable disease, and sent back. And when that happens and those people are sent back, we are notified, but we don't always get the information. So when Homeland Security contacted us, they had already tracked that he'd already been here and then sent back. These two individuals from Honduras that were arrested, we have an obligation that if we cannot confirm citizenship, and not just we, Sheriff, law enforcement, when we cannot confirm citizenship, we notify Homeland Security. Homeland Security does their follow-up. And if there is no citizenship, there is a detainer that's put on, which is a federal court order. Jails in America are required to fulfill court orders. In fact, what we do here in jail is all based on court order, state and federal. And these two individuals that were arrested on Thursday were transported outside the jail to Homeland Security by Tuesday morning, the next weekend, January 21st. That's the process. And we say all that to say when it comes to our operations is this team of operators, you guys go through a lot. You have to see a lot. You've got to talk a lot. Our decoys that are all sheriff's employees, the 64, look at the map in Michigan of the sheriffs that we have worked with. Because if you notice everywhere where there's a ghost emblem, we've done operations, but look at just in today where these individuals have come from. Bay County, Lapeer County, Macomb County, Genesee County. This is something that we do with every single day when we do an operation. But our message to you is that ghost isn't going to stop. We're going to continue to be out there. How do the members, the chatters and the decoys get through these every single time we do them?
Just look at the bigger picture. I mean, that's all you can do is just look at the bigger picture and that people are being held accountable and that maybe somebody might even get helped. The family members, maybe this is something if a spouse that they can talk to their spouses about. I just try to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you sat there and talked about or thought about it, you'd go mad. But no, you just look at the bigger picture.
I will tell you, not only is Sergeant Dallas a great investigator, but I give her the credit of probably being a part of more human trafficking arrests than any other operator in the state of Michigan. She is our lead chatter, and she has a team. The decoys that we have are under her command. So I just want to say publicly how much I appreciate you. You do a lot of good for a lot of people.
Thank you.
I also want to direct you before we open up for any questions specific to this topic. If you desire to be a part of GHOST, there is a link that is included by Sergeant Sprague. That is GHOST certification. It shows you the stages of grooming, and there's a study guide, and there's a test, and we send you a sticker just to be identified that you know what you're talking about. Tori and I and another investigator talk about what predators think and say and do. There's videos to watch. It's a resource, and there's other great resources out there. But if you need more, call, email, stop by the office. We'll be happy to do that. And then, of course, if you have a story you want to tell, predators won't stop, and neither will we. Questions? Zane.
How do you talk to your kids about grooming and predators with it being, oftentimes manipulation is such a difficult subject as well?
So the question, Channel 5, is how do we talk to our kids with grooming and manipulation? That's where our media friends come in, because they may hear it different from you. Let this story break the ice to your loved one. Say, hey, we're going to watch something, then we're going to talk about it. These are tough things to talk about, but it's reality. And then put yourself in a situation, if you have a son or daughter, hey, if somebody tries to give you a phone, what do? Don't forget, the brain doesn't fully develop to age 25. You're talking 12, 13, 14-year-old people that don't have life experience and maturity. They may think it's completely innocent, but that predator is taking advantage of that. We've talked about the steps of grooming. There is a protocol. There's an algorithm that predators use no matter where they are in the world, and they're going to continue to use it. So the key is to do something about it, but the option of not doing is not an option. Dylan,
when was the ghost operation executed? Was it over a couple of days, or you said in January earlier?
These are multiple operations with multiple arrests. And so starting back from August of 2024. Again, we do operations not only in Genesee County, but throughout the state. These are just Genesee County arrests, not including our other sheriffs have done theirs. But this was kind of a compilation of all the ones we've done the last 6 months. Yes, sir. Anything else? Zane.
Do you know how the amount of ghost arrests you made last year measured up to previous years?
It's a great question. Do we see the trend? We've not done that because we've seen the need of go to other areas. Our operators travel and they show other sheriffs how to do it. We did an operation that I think some of the media covered in outside Metro Airport. in a township in Romulus area. That was a police department. They did their own thing down there. We show them how to do it. We have a digital playbook aside from ghost certification, but for law enforcement. And that ghost playbook that's all built out with digital modules, that agency, they have the resources. They may have a little bit of a knowledge. We show them how to do it. Then we go to them when we actually do operation. Then the second one, we shadow them. And the third one, they're off and running. Sheriff Troy Goodenough from Monroe County has Viper. Sheriff Shiawassee County has SHOT. The UP has the UP human trafficking. Our West Side friends have a 5-county operation. We do that because if they're traveling to Genesee County, I know that victims from Genesee County are going to other counties. We want to make sure that it's safe everywhere. This is a statewide and national concern that we all need to be on the same page. Well, thank you very much. Again, our message, both Sergeant Dallas and I, but mainly for Ghost, is to use this information for the good and protect your family. Thank you for tuning in and be safe.
Ours is off.
Good job.